Here's something that might make your blood boil. While everyday Americans struggle with rising costs, one industry just scored a jaw-dropping $40 billion taxpayer-funded windfall. And this is the part most people miss. It's happening under the banner of free market principles. Brace yourself for this contradiction. The very politicians who champion free market capitalism have just handed the oil and gas sector the biggest subsidy bonanza we've witnessed in nearly a decade. According to a bombshell report highlighted by Wired, recent Republican economic legislation will shower petroleum companies with an eye-watering $40 billion in fresh taxpayer subsidies. But here's where it gets controversial. This massive payout doesn't even arrive as one lump sum. Instead, it's strategically spread across 10 years, delivering roughly $4 billion annually to an industry already swimming in government cash. To put this in perspective, oil and gas companies were already pocketing $30.8 billion in annual subsidies before this latest bonanza. Collin Rees, who serves as the U.S. Program Manager for Oil Change International and authored this explosive report, didn't mince words when describing the magnitude. This represents the largest single-year increase in subsidies we've documented in many years, at least since 2017. And this is where things get really interesting. That $4 billion figure might actually be conservative. Rees candidly admitted to Wired that his calculations are likely to be an undercount, explaining that there's probably some things that we missed, some corners of the budget that are funding fossil fuels in different ways. In other words, that $34.8 billion annual total could be just the tip of the iceberg, especially when you factor in state and local subsidies that weren't even included in these calculations. So how exactly did we get here, especially just months after certain billionaires promised to slash government waste? The answer lies in a technical process called carbon capture, a technology designed to extract CO2 from the atmosphere and store it underground. Sounds environmental, right? But here's the twist that makes this controversial. This same technology can be cleverly repurposed to access previously unreachable oil reserves and boost production efficiency. As explained by the University of Texas Geosciences Department, under the previous administration's Inflation Reduction Act, companies received enhanced funding specifically for CO2 storage projects unrelated to oil extraction. However, the new Republican legislation completely levels the playing field, treating oil-related and non-oil-related carbon capture identically. This seemingly minor policy adjustment translates into an additional $1.4 billion yearly windfall for oil companies to expand their drilling operations. Rees didn't hold back when describing the political reality. It's no secret that Trump and the Republicans are on the side of the fossil fuel industry, and very much vice versa. The fossil fuel industry spent hundreds of millions of dollars getting Republicans and Trump elected. They then presented their wish lists. Nearly everything on those wish lists was fulfilled. And in fact, they got a bunch of additional goodies that weren't even in those wish lists. But wait, there's an even bigger hidden subsidy that most people never hear about. The oil and gas industry enjoys massive indirect subsidies by simply not paying for the environmental and health damage their operations create. Think about it. When pollution triggers respiratory problems or when climate-supercharged storms devastate communities, who picks up the tab? Taxpayers and governments worldwide, not the companies profiting from the activities causing these problems. According to a comprehensive 2021 study published in the prestigious Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, these hidden costs amount to an additional $62 billion in annual subsidies to the petroleum industry. That's money coming out of our healthcare systems, disaster relief funds, and environmental cleanup budgets, all to cover damages created by one of the world's most profitable sectors. So when you add it all together, The direct subsidies, the new legislation bonuses, and the massive externalized costs. We're talking about nearly $100 billion in annual support for an industry that consistently ranks among the most profitable on Earth. And that, according to the champions of free market ideology, is apparently exactly how capitalism is supposed to work. Here's my controversial question for you. Is this really the free market we were promised? Or is this corporate socialism disguised as capitalism? Should the most profitable industry in history be receiving taxpayer handouts while ordinary families struggle with energy costs? And most importantly, why do we call it a free market when it's clearly being subsidized to the tune of nearly $100 billion annually? I'm genuinely curious about your perspective on this. Do you think massive subsidies to already profitable industries represent sound economic policy? Or does this reveal fundamental contradictions in our political rhetoric about free markets? Share your thoughts, whether you agree or think I'm completely off base.